Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of the Extra Point Show. Your host, Mr. P.O. Colter, coming to you as I do each and every day, giving you the latest in sports, news, and entertainment. Got a jam-packed show for you today, as usual, so let's get started. I like to start off my shows with Henry of the Tennessee Titans. Earlier today, Titans account that Derrick Henry has just gifted his entire offensive line from the 2000 season with diamond encrusted medallions with 2K as a thank you for paving the way for his record breaking 2,000 yard season from a year ago. Um, So, hey, if you're Derrick Henry, you got the money, you got the fame, the notoriety from the Hogs up front clearing holes for you, and they were rewarded with some diamond encrusted medallions with the 2K and the crown. Shouts out to Derrick Henry for that. Now, my only thing about that is, and AJ Brown had a point when he posted on Twitter today as well. Where's the love for the receivers? Where's the love for the receivers, Mr. Henry? Because you can't be cracking off 80, 90-yard runs, 75-yard runs at the clip that you were knocking them off the last couple of years without the help of your receivers blocking downfield. That's values that you need to get made. You need to send one to Mr. A.J. Brown and the other to Corey Davis. Yeah, I know he's in New York now. He signed him a nice contract up there. Going to get him a nice chunk of guaranteed change up there in Jersey to play for the New York Jets, but that man deserves a medallion as well. You go back and watch his highlights from the 2000 season, and on several of those occasions, the wide receivers took care of the cornerbacks and left Derrick Henry to outrun linebackers and safeties. And now that I think about it, while I'm rocking the crown, it just now occurred to me that my two favorite players in all of sports don the moniker of King. King Henry with my beloved Tennessee Titans, and y'all all know the King that was born in Akron, Ohio. King, his next title appearance. So shouts out to King Henry on that gesture for his offensive line. I'm sure they will be rocking that in the clubs as soon as the clubs are open in Nashville. Um, but sticking with the Titans, it's been a very, very busy day yesterday for the Tennessee Titans. Some news broke after our show on yesterday, so I want to keep you updated, all my Titans fans, on what's going on with the Tennessee Titans and what that means going forward. Three big additions yesterday to help alleviate some of the biggest holes on the team last year. One was the major signing of Bud Dupree, the edge rusher from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Bud Dupree signed a massive deal. It is 5 years, $82.5 million, $35 million in guaranteed money, and an average annual salary of 16.5. Now, I know that 16.5 seems kind of pricey, given the fact that the Titans were cash strapped just about a week ago. But now we see why we had to let players like John Smith go. Outscoring everyone didn't work last year. We needed a couple of defensive stops when the offense got stalled in last year's divisional round playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens. And so the Titans are now trying to address that. Now, with Bud Dupree, he is coming off a torn ACL that cost him to miss the remainder of the season last year. But he is a definite upgrade over Jadeveon Clowney, and we're not even gonna get into Vic Beasley and his bum of a self of what he accomplished in Nashville last year. But the addition of Bud Dupree is going to help out two key players on the defensive side of the ball who have been trying all their might, but they've just been getting swallowed up by double teams and running ineffective for the most part. And that's outside linebacker Harold Landry and young stud defensive tackle Big Jeff. Um, when Harold Landry was drafted, he was originally drafted to be the complementary edge rusher to a solid veteran edge rusher on the other side, which was Brian Arakpo at one point. Then they tried to make it again Jadeveon Clowney, Vic Beasley. All of those things blew up in their face. Bud Dupree, over the last 2 years, he's eighth in the league in sacks. Eighth, top 10 guy in sacks. And so having a player like that on the other side that actually can demand a double team should free up Landry to have a more productive season than the 5.5 sack help from the other side of the defense. Also, another critical signing on defense for the Titans yesterday was defensive lineman Danico Archery from the Colts. Now, we only got to see him play in one game last year because he missed one of the games against the Titans due to COVID protocol. But he is a solid run stopping defensive tackle who should also be able to either benefit from Jeffrey Simmons playing alongside him on the defensive. Simmons had to face last year. They make a formidable duo in the middle of the defense, and alongside Bud Dupree, you would have to think that at least on paper the pass rush has been um, upgraded enough to where the secondary won't look as porous as they did last year, even without Malcolm Butler. Just case in point, a stat to throw out to you. Danico Archery and Bud Dupree combined for 15 and a half sacks last year between the two. The Titans, as a total team defense, only had 19. So your two free agent additions at almost. So if you're a Titans fan and you were worried about the defense coming into the pickups, I'm really loving the Bud Dupree. If he can still maintain his explosiveness coming off of ACL surgery, which in today's NFL with the technology and with the doctors and all, it's not a fatal injury like it used to be back in the 70s and 80s and maybe even the early 90s. So I'm confident that he'll be able to get back on the field. His agent says that he should be on pace to fully participate in training camp, but let's just face it, they all say that. We thought that about several players last year. Remember Dory Jackson? But I will die. I think that will weigh heavy as the season progresses, and we'll be glad that we have him on board as a Titans fan. And that is lineman Kendall Lamb, offensive tackle, a versatile offensive tackle from Cleveland. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I like the Lamb pickup. First of all, it was a really good deal. 2 years, $8.5 million dollars. It's bargain basement for a player that can play the left side of the offensive line as well as the right side of the offensive line. Now, he'll be the primary backup to Dennis Kelly and to Pro Bowl tackle Taylor Lewan, who will man the left side when he comes back from his own ACL injury. And I consider Lamb to be in the same position that Dennis Kelly was in when we had Jack Conklin on the right side and Taylor Lewan on the left. And Dennis Kelly would kind of be the hybrid that can fill in either spot where needed, either for spot play or for long-term duty like he had to do last year, assuming the right tackle starting position. So I feel really good about those picks for the Tennessee Titans. You're shoring up a key offensive line piece, giving yourself some versatility and depth on the left and right side if needed. And you're also shoring up your most pressing need, which is an edge rusher. And Bud Dupree has shown in Pittsburgh's scheme that he can definitely get after the quarterback. Now, did he benefit from working opposite TJ Watt? Absolutely he did. Is Harold Landry the same caliber player of TJ Watt? Absolutely he's not. So that's a caveat that's waiting to be seen. But with the addition of Archery to pair alongside Jeffrey Simmons, I believe they should be able to generate enough of a pass rush to get the team out of some of those tight third down bonds that they were in last year, giving up over 50% completion percentage or conversion percentage on third down, which was one of the worst, most deplorable, most disgusting, and backbreaking and exhausting stats in the league. When your team can't get off the field on third down and the opposing offense is holding the ball for 30, 35 minutes in a game, that is absolutely demoralizing. And God bless the offense in Tennessee last year. They were able to strike quickly, either being through A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, or, of course, Derrick Henry, that they were able to offset that. But you don't want to count on that every year because we saw how that didn't work in the playoffs. So kudos to the Titans for making some moves. Now, are there some more notable names to leave Tennessee via free agency? So now it's a situation to where we see what they do going forward. Um, if you're looking for some Cowboy news, Dallas fans, I do have a Cowboys update. They signed a long snapper, and that concludes our Cowboys update today. About it, I hollered at y'all about the Dak Prescott signing, but all they've done since is hired a long snapper, and over the last couple of years, especially since Stephen Jones has taken over, they've played the patient, prudent, um, bargain basement approach when it comes to do those deals with, and we'll see if that pans out this year. They do save millions of dollars off the cap by not franchising Dak Prescott this year, so they should have some additional money to free up. You also have players like Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott who can also have their deals restructured to free up some additional money, um, for that second and third wave of free agency. The free agency is far from over, Cowboys fans. Take a deep breath. You're defensive side of the ball, at least according to Jerry Jones and his. But the man of free agency right now, the man of the hour, that's Big Baller Bill. Big Baller Bill Belichick up there in New England making it rain on these NFL players. Got these 6'3", 285-pound men twerking like a stripper. just, just making it rain on them. I believe yesterday in the opening day of free agency, um, Belichick, who is also the president of football operations and the general manager, doled out over $100 million in guarantees. $100 million in guaranteed money. You think this man didn't see Tom Brady win that Super Bowl? You think he didn't look around at the talent that he did not have on the roster and say, "Wait a minute"? Or Robert Kraft. Now that your court worries are behind you, I'm gonna need you to pony up, and we're gonna have to figure out some stuff and make this happen. And they are making it happen. I'm just gonna go over some of the notable names that have been signed. Again, on yesterday's show, we talked about Jonnu Smith, 4 years, $50 million, 31 million guaranteed, the highest amount of guaranteed ever for a tight end in NFL history. They also landed another big fish on the defensive side of the ball. That's Baltimore Ravens defensive tackle Matthew Judon. He signed a 4 year, $56 million deal. They picked up a couple of wide receivers yesterday. That's in Nelson Aguilar with 2 years, $26 million, and wide receiver Kendrick Bourne from San Francisco, which is 3 years, $22 million. I really love the Bourne pickup because if you ever saw him play last year, this guy was angry after the catch. He caught the ball and he looked to get downfield. And if you wanted to tangle with him along the way, he was more than willing to tangle with you. That man runs like like his next contract is tomorrow. So shouts out to the Patriots for rebuilding that core alongside Smith. They also signed defensive tackle Devon Gottschall from Miami, trying to show up a porous run defense from last year. So you add him with the Matthew Judon. Just yesterday. Today I wake up and Los Angeles Chargers. They signed him to a deal, a 3 year, $37.5 million deal with $25 million guaranteed. Now that's the top two tight ends in the free agent market. I don't remember or recall a time when a team picked up the top two players at any given position in the same free agency um, class. I don't recall seeing that, and I certainly haven't seen a team invest $56 million in guaranteed money to the tight end position. Oh, Bill ain't as he developed great rapport with the rookie quarterback. I'm like, wow. So you add Nelson Aguilar, you add Kendrick Bourne, you add Hunter Henry, you add Jonnu Smith, you bring back Cam Newton, and we all know that Cam Newton loved to throw to tight end Greg Olsen during his time at Carolina. That was one of his most fierce weapons during his heyday, and when he was at his height, his MVP level of play. Also, I saw rumored that they're maybe taking a flyer on free agent Leonard Fournette or Chris Carson from Seattle. So they're not even done yet. So when you look at this offense as it stands now, and you remember that they had a couple of pieces last year with the young guy, um, uh, Mr. N'Keal Harry, and also Jacoby Myers, who had a breakout season, but he was in his limited role. You put those guys in their ancillary supporting cast positions and let Bourne and let Aguilar do the heavy lifting along with working those tight ends. You got some problems covering that offense, especially with the offensive coordinator that they have up there in Josh McDaniels. So I really like what the Patriots are doing. They certainly have won free agency so far. If you ask me, I believe that they've been the most aggressive. And Big Bill is like, nah, nah, player. We're trying to get back to the playoffs. Damn some Brady. Now, which leads me to ask this question: are the Patriots now in your class of playoff tier caliber teams in the AFC now? Now, remember, last year they went 7-9. That's with a depleted offense, no weapons on the outside, a dismal running game. They were 30th in the league in passing. I just went over the laundry list of receiving threats that they just brought over this summer. They still have the draft coming up, and they still have one of those worst to first type teams. Although of course they were not worse than the Jets, but it was the worst season that they had in the Belichick era, a losing season, a non-playoff season. So kudos to the Patriots and their fans. Um, Looks like that old Big Bill is making it rain, and I wouldn't count him out to still be looking to make some moves or two. Remember, uh, Leonard Fournette, running back, is on their radar. Chris Carson from Seattle is on their radar. And who knows, Lord knows who else is on their radar. We're going to come back with you tomorrow to get you updated to the up to the minute news on who went where. We're also going to dive a little bit further into the NCAA tournament and get our thoughts on some of the teams outside of the number one seeds and how they may fare in the tournament. And whatever foolishness that comes along the Geek Wire between now and tomorrow afternoon. I look forward to seeing you then. It's your boy, Mr. P.O. Colter, signing off. Have a great day. Be you. And tell someone you love them today. I love you. Peace.